Hey, could we all stand and thank Jerry once again while he's leaving? Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Peter Coyote. I was one of the first members of the California Arts Council. Thanks. And many of you may not know the courage that Jerry showed at that time. Proposition 13 had passed and every state agency had taken a 10% cut. And at that time, Gary Snyder and I went to him and we were frustrated with fighting over $1 million. The Imperial Arts and the neighborhood arts were at loggerheads, largely because I was such a mean, potty-mouthed guy. Could we have the lights back on? Come on, this is not a performance, this is a family here. Thank you. And we said to Jerry, if you will put a $20 million request before the legislature, you don't have to raise a finger. If we can't win it, we don't deserve it. But you can still tell your rich supporters that you tried. And he did. And I've not seen an act of political courage, certainly among any of the people running for president, none of whom have mentioned art or culture or global warming once, or the environment once. But Jerry Brown put it on the line, and he gave me a very succinct political lesson. I came out of the anarchist, radical left San Francisco mime troupe, and as far as I was concerned, I'm on the Arts Council. The next year I was the chairman. Wow, we won, the rest of you are screwed. So I set about getting revenge, because when the San Francisco Mime Troupe was on the cover of the City Chamber of Commerce magazine, we couldn't get a nickel from the city. So I basically succeeded in paralyzing the state. I had all the community people with no money and no power, and the Senate and the legislature had all the rich people with all the money and power, and we were at loggerheads. And Jerry called me into his office and he gave me the simplest, most succinct political lesson I've ever received, and it was this: in a democracy, all boats rise or all boats sink. You can't play favorites. And from that, we went out and we crafted a $20 million program that would keep the powerful in check, but pull them into the same harness of mules to pull this $20 million wagon. And we did that for 8 years. And we managed to get the legislature to understand that even an artist who was not perhaps in the first rank was a creative problem solver, whose very work involved merging the logical and the intuitive. And they could teach other people how to do it and make them better plumbers, better doctors, better lawyers, better negotiators. And we created 14 interagency agreements among agencies that we knew would never get their budgets cut: corrections, social services, health and education. And we said, we'll solve these problems with artists, and you only have to pay half. So we got another 50% to our budget. And we couldn't have done that without a great governor and without great political leadership who never jerked our chain when we made mistakes. And believe me, we made mistakes, and we were pilloried in the press, much to his embarrassment. But Jerry Brown stayed firm and held the course. And so this room today is full of heirs and disciples and people who followed that example. I can't see everybody, but largely working artists who understand full well the role that creative problem solving plays in everyday life. And that art, as Gary Snyder said, is the creative play of the mind. And so I want to ask us one quick collective question, which is, what happened? How did we let our legislators, how did we let our communities, how did we let all the ancillary communities forget about us? When I first was appointed to the Arts Council, we held a weekend, and we hired someone from the American Management Institution, and we got one of those pads where you facilitate conversations. And we put the word art in a circle, and we said, let's see what it is. So we went, okay, opera, symphony, ballet, theater, music. That was a small game. But we kept at it, and all of a sudden, we began to add musical instrument manufacturers, band uniform makers, canvas makers, backdrops in the theater and the opera, rope, cable, tape recorders, recording tape. And we kept going, and at the end of the weekend, we had what looked like a sea urchin around the word art. And that sea urchin, we all understood, was our political constituency. Every one of those spines stood to profit if the Arts Council won its $20 million budget. We didn't win it the first time. We got $5 million. We went from 1 to 5 million when every other state agency took a 10% cut. Then we went to 8 million, and then we went to 11, and then we went to 16. And I don't remember, but Juan Carrillo is here, who was the deputy. I think with federal money, we got to 18. So we need to do that again. We need to remember that we are attached to the entire world, and it's on us to make those connections and figure out the politics of all the industries and all the restaurants and all the hotels and all the taxi cabs who prosper when the arts prosper. So I'm suggesting that's our work, because we can't run a state on $1 or $5 or even $10 million with 30 million people in it. It doesn't work. And unfortunately, the people who can do it are right in this room. So I leave you with a big thank you for hanging in as artists, for supporting or having supported and worked for and with the Arts Council. But I'd say even in our dotage, I'm 74 now, not 34, we have our work just beginning. Thank you very much.